All right, Allen. Thank you so much for joining us today. How are you doing today, man?
Not too bad, man. Not too
Awesome.
bad.
So let's just get straight into it, man. So can you tell me a little bit about you, a little bit about who you are, what you do, and how long you've been in the industry?
Yeah, so my name's Allan. I'm out of Central California. Been in the industry about going on 6, 7 years, I believe. First couple years when I first joined the tinting industry, I was just the sales guy. I'm the person you walked into the office, I greeted you, sold you the film, would give you the options. After about a year or two of sitting on the desk, I got tired of sitting there and just, watching these guys in the back tent while I was just in the front. So eventually we got busy enough that I hopped in the back, grabbed the squeegee, grabbed an apron, and then it got thrown out there, with the sharks. It went from just selling the tin to getting busy enough that, hey, you can just start grabbing some quarters, start sticking some quarters. And it started with quarters, started with shrinking back windows, and then a little from there I fell in love with the trade, and I've been doing it ever since.
You were working at a shop as a salesperson, and
hmm
then you found that opportunity to start learning and kind of start tinting yourself. Is that right?
So I was just a greeter. I was just a greeter and the sales guy. I'd see the guys in the back busting their ass when I first got into the tinting industry. I didn't think much of it. Watched the guys in the back, and I looked at them and said, man, these guys are, back there hauling ass. It was a busy shop in the bay. And then, like I said, eventually it got busy enough where we were, kind of behind on some cars. So instead of sitting in the office, decided to go in the back and help out. And once I started putting hands on film, I loved it.
So was what really got you like interested in doing the window tint? Was it just seeing those other guys like the way they worked, or did you already kind of have an interest of doing it when you were out there like selling it, or what sparked your interest the most?
So for me, I'm a huge car guy. Like I love modifying. I grew up, building cars, building engines, putting cars together. So getting a chance to see these really awesome cars, these machines that come in, I was like, you know what? I miss working on cars. I miss building them, but not having a second chance as, for work to get a chance to, tint these nice cars. I'm a huge Ford Mustang guy.
Mm.
So, we get some nice GT 300s, 350s, whatever came in. And I'm like, you know what? I went from admiring these cars to not having a second chance to work on them again, even though it's not building them, but it's a chance to change the way they look. And then, seeing the customer's reaction after every single, sale, every single car we did, that kept me going. That kept me interested. Just people, that wow factor. People show up to pick up their cars and they're excited and it gets you excited, and that just pumped me up to want to continue to doing it. It's just that constant, instant gratitude of customers' reaction, and it just how do you say it? It just keeps you going, seeing people's reaction.
Yeah.
They're excited about their new car. They just got tinted, even though it's the same car they've had for years. But then picking it up, tinted now, you vibe off that reaction. So seeing customers' reaction made me fall in love. It was just every car was instant gratitude.
Right.
Every car was, hey,
Yeah.
thank you. This car looks great. Hey, thank you. So that just fed me into, I want to do this over and over again.
Can you give me like a timeline? So, how long ago was this? Like, was this a few years ago? Was this like
Uh, 2018, give or take.
2018?
What is it? 20?
Okay.
Well, I got 6 years.
So, are you
Um,
still with that same business now, or?
no. So I started as just a sales guy, like I said, 2018. I started just desk guy, and then a year later, I want to say is when I started doing it, and then I've had my own shop for about 2 years now.
For
So
about
my
two
own
years now.
business about 2 years, in the tint industry about six.
What do you think is the best way someone should learn how to tint windows? The way I see it is like three categories, right? I see either you can work at a shop and learn by someone else, you can pay like for a course, or you can just go through YouTube University. In your eyes, what do you think is the best route to take?
I think it depends your current situation. If you have a full-time job that's secure, that's going to pay you, I mean, I wouldn't tell you to leave your job to go learn. I'd say pick it up on the weekends, even if you start doing it, as far as learning, I think YouTube University is a good start. Hands-on would be the other one. If you have access to a shop or friend, family, someone that has a shop that they're willing to, let you kind of, shadow for a little bit, great, take advantage. If not, I'd say, like I said, on the weekend, take your car, buy a roll of film over and over again, just until you get the cut right, until you get the whether you bottom load or two stage, just repetition, repetition, repetition. Like I said, if you have a chance to keep your job during Monday through Friday, you can do this on the weekend, learn that way. If you have the money to well, let me just hit it running and take a course and do it that way, great. But for me personally, it was just repetition. It was just over and over and over. And my job was secure because I was I was a sales. So I had that, and then I got a chance to learn tinting while I was still getting paid to do so.
Right.
Someone that doesn't have a job that it's not in the industry, YouTube University is great. It's free. There's plenty of support in the forums. There's plenty of people you can ask that everybody's been eager to help. Whether it's like the bottom load, forums, the window tint page that what's its name?
313?
The 313. Yeah, like
Yeah, yeah,
that's my go-to. Like if I ever get a car that I've never bottom loaded, I go to the page, type in the
right,
vehicle's information, and okay, where are the bolts for this one?
for sure.
Um, so yeah, forums, YouTube are your best user friendly because they're cost effective, they're cheap. Of course, I've never taken one myself. I don't know, I got a chance to work with it and learn in the industry. But
Mm,
yeah, if you can find a course, if you can afford it, sure, I'm pretty sure there's other insights from pros that they're willing to sell you that you may not find on YouTube.
right.
Um, but yeah, for your average, someone that wants to learn, someone that, doesn't have the funds for a course, YouTube is great, and forums. You can ask questions.
Just
People are more
trial
than
and
happy to
error, right?
help. It's
Trial and
it's a
error.
it's a small, tight community, and I think everybody's willing to help because I think for those that take it serious like myself, are more than happy to see other tinters grow.
You said that now you have your own shop, right? What are some of the most difficult challenges from going from working at a shop to starting your own thing and doing
Mm,
your own?
so when I went into this, I knew it wasn't going to be easy. I knew it was going to be the hardest thing I've ever done. Because you go from taking a secure 9 to 5 paycheck, getting paid a tint or getting paid for whatever you do to now running the business. Everything's the hardest because you turn, unless you have the funds to hire a marketing team, an advertising team, or, unless you have the money to hit the floor ground running. I've done everything myself from the get-go. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've had, a tinter, I've had help to help me in terms of installation, but, I'm my own marketing team. I'm the receptionist now. I'm the feedback company. You got to learn how to do everything, or have the funds, or help, or know someone that's gonna help you. Whether it's the marketing skills that you don't know how to do, find someone that does. I had to do everything myself. Luckily for me, before I learned how to do tint, I did sales. I did car sales for many years, so I learned how to market, how to advertise. I've learned how to communicate with people. I had everything backing me up. So when I went into this, I had a solid foundation that I could sell the services, sell the tint jobs, and then having the confidence that I have now that I've had for years in terms of installation, I got it kind of just came together for me.
Right.
But for
Okay.
someone just they're excellent tinters but bad marketing, learn the trade, find someone that can teach you, or work with a team that can help you advertise, get your name out there. Because you could be the best tint in the world unless you have someone that's going to help you, put your services out there. No one's going to find you.
Right. You could be the best center, but if no one knows who you are, then you're not gonna get no business, right?
Correct. It's
Right.
all about teamwork. It's true. Teamwork makes the dream work. For me, I got lucky that I happened to know everything because before I did tint, I did sales, I did car sales, so I did, anything when it came to selling and talking to people, and then learning how to tint, I just put it together, and which is why I think I've been able to do so well as a small business owner, self-ran, self-operated, and I do everything.
Are you mobile? Do you have a shop? And if you have a shop, like what's that look like?
So yeah, we have a shop. I don't do mobile. I've gone to mobile jobs and I haven't encountered the same situation that you can. I'm not saying you can't deliver a clean install at a mobile job. It's just you don't have the same your office. You don't have your workspace. At the shop, we keep our floor wet. We keep the air misted. I mean, there's certain steps you take to make sure you deliver quality work. And for me, not be able to deliver that at people's houses or in someone's driveway, not only that, you do have to upcharge for the mobile service. I feel like I can deliver the best quality in a controlled environment like my shop.
And at your shop right now, is it a one bay? Is it a two bay? Is it a
It it's a two
what?
bay. It's a two
A two
bay.
bay. Okay.
It's like one single spread, so it's two different garage doors. So yeah, you got one car gets worked on. If we have a removal, I'll have the removal getting worked on the other bay. But the garage, two separate doors, but it's you walk into one shop.
A lot of owner operators out here, like they do the same thing. Like right there, they
Correct.
are the marketer, the salesman, they're the installer at times.
The
What
complete
are
department, HR, everything.
yeah?
Yeah.
What what's your take on like I guess what are your goals? Are you looking to expand? Are you thinking about kind of just going the same path that you're going, or do you see like a bigger picture, or what are your personal goals and your business goals?
I'm ambitious. I do want obviously a second shop. Running one has been really great. Like I say, we're going on our 2 years. This April will be our 2 year anniversary. So I wanted to get first couple years under my belt of what I need to run a successful business. This is the first year and a half, year 3 quarters, whatever it's been, have been really awesome. The city has shown us love. The surrounding community has shown us love. So now that I know I can operate one just fine, I am looking to expand. Obviously, who doesn't want to have more assets when it comes to buildings? Either one option for me with one expand to a different shop, something in a busier city, or two into a bigger shop where I can bring in or something with a bigger lobby, something with a nice waiting area, just a bigger shop in general, you know. So the
To
goal
be
would
able
be
to
find a
handle more
bigger
work
shop
and stuff.
or open
Yeah.
up a second shop, just whatever seems, whenever the time comes for that, whatever makes more sense. You know,
Right.
if I have a
Okay.
team, great, spread out for a second shop. If it's just me and one more person, then obviously I'd want to keep it to one shop and just a nicer shop.
Right now, is it just you? Do you have someone else with you,
So
or
yeah, so it's me and one more person. He
okay.
does more of like the plotting. He does more of like the quarters, so he's doing the smaller stuff.
Mm.
Not too long ago, I did have a full-blown installer. Same thing. The guy was, he's more experienced than me actually, but he was working with me as well. He works on his days off. And we tackle, 6, 7, 8, 9 cars in one day between me and him.
Oh,
It's
okay.
slowed down now. He's,
Mm.
he's working from home because of, good installers are not cheap. So a
Right.
good tinter is not going to go work at a shop for less than what they make by themselves. Right now, I have a guy that's hourly. Guy's great. Answers the phone, greets customers, pulls in vehicles. We, helps you put the floor mats on the vehicles before we pull them out. We do everything between both of us,
Mm.
but he's more of a deckhand.
Gotcha.
But
Okay.
my goal is to teach him how to tint because, tax season's around the corner, and once we get that busy, it'd be nice to have someone else sticking windows with me.
Right. Yep. And you guys can do a lot more work in a day and
Yeah.
whatnot. What is your take on the time that it takes to tint a car? Like, does it really matter? Should it matter? And when does it matter?
I don't think it should off the back. If you're just getting into tinting, the time should be the least of your worries. I think it's perfecting, the skill. It's I've talked to guys that have taken 6 hours on an easy car. You know what I mean? I don't know how that happens, but
Right.
I've heard guys say some crazy hours. But it's like if you're delivering quality work, if that's the only car you do for the day, and it came out where you can charge a customer a reasonable amount of time, a price, sure. You know what I mean? Like take your time. I don't think speed matters until one you perfect the flow of how to install, how to bottom load, how to shrink. Like unless you just got it down. Once you got it down and you say, you know what, I can do this, then let me speed up the process because now I can make more money because I can do more cars a day.
So first, get down the technique, get down quality work, and then that will come with speed, right? I mean,
Yeah, absolutely.
right.
Because
Okay.
it's like the more comfortable you get with with anything, the faster it's gonna naturally get faster. We do things slowly because we're being careful. We don't know what to do, so we're questioning every step of the way. But once you get into a rhythm of like, okay, I know what to do, you naturally get faster.
People are always asking, what's the best film to use? What's the film to use when you're first starting?
Oh
Does
God.
does the brand of the film really matter? Does it matter to you? Does it affect your business if you carry
Um,
a specific brand or not?
That's such a big question because there's no wrong answer. People wear Nikes, people wear Adidas, people wear Pumas. I mean, you're always going to find an argument for what's the best film. Is there a tier in films? Yeah, I mean, I think there's entry level film, I think there's mid grade film, and I think there's top tier film. When it comes to film, a lot of the film that we think or that we know of, it's just well marketing. So a lot of these big name brands are charging, $600, $700 a roll. I guarantee you they've been around for a while, or they do really good marketing where they feel their name is big enough to charge you that much. I'm not saying that the big brands are the best film. I think they have a good foundation and a good backing of why they charge so much for their film because they have a good marketing team. Two, it's probably good film anyways to begin with, so there's nothing wrong with the film. And like I said, I could be wrong, but I feel like a lot of these really expensive films, you kind of buying the brand, you're buying the name,
Mm.
but you also buy the support. There's expensive films that when you become a dealer for them, you can call them up for any issues and they're on it. So yeah, you will pay more for premium option film, but it's also backed by support by the person you're buying it, by the dealer you're buying it from, the warranties that they offer, and also the quality of the film. I think people, as they get better, you should look into buying better quality film. It also depends what you're charging. If you're a beginning installer, you probably don't want to start off the back with, installing, SolarGuard or Expel or stuff like that. I think you
Mm.
should practice with film you don't mind burning through. Once you know that you can stick a window and you're not removing, you're not redoing it, then I think you should bump up your quality in film.
Should a beginner avoid certain cars when they're first starting out?
Yes and no, because I think it just depends how ambitious you are. Me, I'm super ambitious. Like me, for me, it's like when I come across a car that I haven't done or I think it's gonna challenge me, I welcome it. Like I want to do it. It's just another notch on my belt. It's like, okay, if I can do this car, I can do the next car. I think there is vehicles you might want to avoid. You don't want to commit yourself to a vehicle that you know you can't do. But if I think you're practicing, I think you want to get some reps in, and you happen to know the person you're going to do it for, you let them know, hey, you know what, I've never done this car, but I'm willing to try. I think you should try everything that comes in your way.
Is there any particular car that comes to mind when you think avoid this one if you're beginning?
Yeah, early 2000s Beetle.
That's probably like the worst
Uh,
car to do. Even as an
it's we've
experienced
done it,
singer.
man. I'm not a fan of
Yeah.
it. I charge for that car where it's like, if they say yes, it's gonna be worth my time. I almost charge like I don't want to do it price type of thing.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but I think yeah, the Beetle's probably one that will test your patience.
Yeah.
Corvettes, well, which C5, C6 Corvettes will
Yeah.
test your patience. The Camaros, the older ones, the early 2000s Camaros with the big old hatch.
Yeah.
Those, I think, just different cars. Classic cars are the biggest pain in the ass.
Right. Yeah.
The El
Yeah.
Caminos, the Firebirds, all those things. Just the fact that they don't have matrix system for the back windows.
Mm.
I think those test your patience and what are you willing to do to deliver a clean back window.
All
Give
you
you
could do is, try your best, and if the customer's happy, I think at the end of the day, that's what really matters, right?
When I first started tinting, my sister had, one of those early 2000s Beetle and told her, hey, let me tint your car. She's like, well, why? I don't want tint on it. I was like, let me do it. Like, I want to. I'll do it for free. For me, it was just knowing that if I can knock a Beetle out, it would just
Mm.
open my mind to possibilities, thinking, okay, cool, what's next?
Right.
But that's,
Right.
I'm very ambitious. I feel that keeps me motivated, keeps me going, it keeps me, loving the industry. That
Mm.
there's challenges out there.
Right. Okay.
Some people don't want challenges. Some people want to play it safe, and I respect that. You know what I mean? You don't want to bite
Yeah.
too much. You don't want to bite too much. Which you
That you
can
can
take
chew.
on.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I,
if I say challenge yourself, that's the only way you grow.
I mean, gotta maybe be just a little cautious, but can't be scared to try.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like I said, know your limits.
You know that saying. It goes like, if you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because only you know. So like I said,
Yes, sir.
there's no right or wrong answer to that either. Like I don't think there's cars you should avoid. It just depends on you and how much you trust yourself to try it. And
What is your take on plotter versus hand cutting?
oh, that's a good one. That's a good argument. It depends. A busy shop, I think a plotter is the way to go. Even though I've seen guys hand cut just as fast as someone with the plotter does. It just depends. Like I said, we know how to do both at our shop. Fortunately, when it comes down to where cars or older vehicles that are not in the software, obviously we hand cut them. And every so often the software's not always right. So for accuracy, hand cut there's just there's the proven method. Get yourself a red dot with a good blade, good carbon blade, and there's nothing better than hand cut. But I think plotter will speed up production depending how busy you are and depending how good your software is at using, how accurate the cuts are. So it just
Okay.
comes down to what software you can afford to get, how good is that software, and can you do better by doing it hand cut. If you can, if you're just as fast and you're just as good, or you feel like you're better hand cut than a plotter, ditch the plotter. Plotter's not cheap, neither is software. So if you feel you're better with a red dot, and you feel plotter or software's holding you back, save yourself, $4,000 or $5,000 investment, save yourself the $200 a month, subscription, and just hand cut.
From a business standpoint, would you say a plotter is a good route to go?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think a plotter, like I said, when we're busy during like our peak season, a plotter has got me, in and out cars pretty quickly. I feel like a plotter has done me more justice than me trying to hand cut. But it's good to know both. I think
Yeah,
learn how to
I
hand
think so
cut
too.
first.
Yeah.
Yeah, learn how to hand cut first because, like I said, electronics fail, machines fail. Unfortunately, they're not 100%.
Mm.
So if the lights go out, or whatever happens that your plotter fails, your red dot will never fail. I think plotter's the way to go. But like I said, I've seen guys do hand cut just as fast as someone does on the plotter.
What is your take on working with dealership? I feel like I see a lot of people in the comments that are like, don't work with dealerships. They don't pay. They don't want to pay. They take forever to pay. They're hard to work with.
For me, I'm kind of hit and miss because I used to work at a dealership, and the dealerships I work for, one of them is one that I used to work at personally, so I have really good relationships with them. It's hard to say. There's dealerships that are willing to pay your retail price, and I think that's a good client to have. Whenever it slows down, I'm not saying you can count on dealerships. I'm just saying you'll at least know that there's some traffic coming in through dealerships because they have cars that they sell. I have a program with some of the dealerships where they send them over to us. We tint their front two windows for free, and it's not necessarily that we do it for free. The dealership comps the front two windows, and then when they come into my shop, they either upgrade to carbon, they upgrade to ceramic, or they end up doing the whole car and they end up spending more money. So I have good relationships with my local dealerships. They pay close to retail, so it just depends on what how the dealership that you want to work with, how they want to work with you. Some dealerships make it impossible to want to work with you, like, what, I don't even want it, and it leaves a bad taste for. And you think every dealership is like that. I'm blessed to have good dealerships that don't give me a headache. I think if you walk in a dealership and you set the standards and you let them know, hey, my work is this much, this is my price, and this is what it's going to take for you to work with me. And if they accept, and they're a client that appreciates the work, they appreciate the trade. Most dealerships don't have a problem paying as long as you're delivering quality.
Yeah, we work with the dealership as well, and To be honest, we've had nothing but a good experience with them. I hear all these stories, but I just don't really see it. Maybe I just haven't experienced it yet. But we have set terms like they want to pay us like a 45 net, so they'll pay us a check after 45
Yeah,
days.
I know, dude. I net 30, net 60. I hear it,
Yeah,
and it
yeah,
sucks. But the way I've looked at it, like, so as long as you keep your other streamline income coming in, for me, when those checks come in from those dealerships, it's just money that I forgot about, so they come up as little bonuses.
yeah,
You
yeah,
shouldn't rely on a dealership to, pay your rent. I think get your finances straight. When the dealership pays you, you're like, cool, here's a nice little fat check for the last three, four, five cars that they haven't paid me on.
yep,
Um, so it just depends. Like I said, it
yeah,
sucks if you're still going check to check. But if you're pretty acquired, you got your savings, you're well established. Those checks come in, they almost feel like bonuses, even though
yeah.
obviously they're not.
And then and then once they come in, it's like it's that week after week because like you do so much that eventually when those 45 days come around, it's not that long until the next one comes, and then they keep coming as long as they keep bringing in work, you know.
Yeah,
But
correct. I think
yeah,
45 days is a little extended. Like I
yeah.
give my dealerships max 30 days, which is pretty cool.
Mm.
They respect it too. That if they're easy to work with, sure, work with
Yeah,
them back. You know what I mean? If
yeah.
they're willing to work with you, why not?
What are your thoughts on tinting front windshields, and what are your thoughts on like how dark like people should or should not go on the windshield?
So I think definitely if you can sell it as a, from a business perspective point, I think it's a great upsell. I think if you sell it as a benefit, not necessarily as, hey, just as an accessory. I think if you explain people the benefits to it, I say stock up on 70%. It's legal and everywhere. And I think, you have a market there, anywhere between 150 to 200 to even 250. I heard guys charge up to, $300 for a windshield. I
Mm.
think it's a good upsell, and I think you absolutely should carry it, even if it's 70%, because
Okay.
California, Central Valley gets pretty hot, super sunny. I like the shade. I like the shade from it. I like how the difference that it makes. But for your everyday consumer that walks in that doesn't have the money to be paying for tint, window tint over or tickets over and over again, I think tread lightly. You know what your local law enforcement is and how picky they can be. 70 or whatever the legal is, abide by it. But you can have customers that come in and say, I want this, I want that. Um, I think until dealer or tint shops get where we're the ones to blame for the tint, I think just tread lightly with that.
Yeah.
Don't we don't recommend, we don't give personal recommendations to customers. We let people know what we have, and we let them choose. That's one
Right.
thing I always made sure that I don't sway people's choice a specific way. Like I will never tell them, hey, I have 35 on my car, get 35 on yours. It's like this is what we carry, and they ask, is this legal? Like, no, this is not legal. It's your. I always tell people it's your vehicle. You do what you want to do with your vehicle, but at the end of the day, a fix-it ticket is yours, not mine. But we give recommendations. We'll
Mm.
tell them, hey, 50 is great. It's not very obvious. 70 is what's legal. This will keep you out of trouble. But at the end of the day, I let the customers choose.
I do the same thing. I mean, there's people that sometimes come in and they want to go like super dark. They're like, oh, I want 20%, I want
Oh,
50, I
dude,
want.
if we all have had those
Yeah.
customers. I think
I,
there's a fine line between being careful.
yeah.
I know we all want to make money, but at the end of the day, I mean,
You don't want
I
to have
would
that.
never put five on someone's windshield. I don't care.
Yeah.
I've turned those down. That's just me personally. I know money, it's a paying job, but I'm not gonna put five on your windshield.
I always try to tell people not to go dark, like when they're trying to go dark. I try to
Yeah,
tell them, I try to
absolutely.
scare them and everything, and but there's people that are like, they really just don't care. Like they want to go with like a 20 on the windshield, and you
People
try
are
to tell
crazy,
them, how
because
strict
if
are
it,
the laws right there in California?
dude, they suck here. On the front two
Yeah,
windows, 70%.
that's like nothing.
Nothing with its factory glass. When you buy a
Yeah,
vehicle from the factory, it's the VLT on it. It's already
yeah,
70%.
it's 70.
100% obviously is your home windows, but yeah, automotive already has 70.
But
You know,
are you guys getting pulled over all the time? Like, do you see that? Like, do you get customers that are like,
so it just
got pulled
depends.
over?
Just today, I had a customer walk in. We're working on the car. It's a previous customer of mine. He walks in. He's like, "Hey man, when can you redo my tint?" And it's like, "Why? What happened? We've done this truck a couple months ago." I look over behind his shoulder, and I see the windshield tint torn off. I see the sides. Like he
Wow,
got pulled over today, and the cop made him rip it off there and then.
wow.
I was like, "Dude, he didn't give you a chance to come in, have it done professionally." He's like, "No, he told me if I tore it off, that he let me go with the warning." So yeah, he took it off.
Wow.
Obviously, the glue's on the windshield, and I looked at it. I was like, "Shit, now I got to take that off."
Oh man.
Um, so they're strict here, but it just depends where you live. I can't
Mm.
speak for every county here in California. Some cities are more strict than others. I don't know. It's everything at your own risk.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
that's
you
facts.
it's almost like speeding. Some streets you can get away with it, others you're gonna get caught. Same thing with window tint. Some cities, some streets, no one's there to monitor them, and the moment you turn around, maybe there's a cop there that's having a bad day. He says, you know what, your tint's too dark for me, and
Right.
he's gonna pull you over.
You think about California, it's like it gets hot over there. I don't know why
I don't get
they.
it either. I don't know how we're not far from being Texas and Arizona when it comes to heat, and we have the strictest, tint laws. Everybody else, 35, I think, is the average national, VLT that's allowed.
Mm.
I know in some states you can go as far as 25, but California 70. Everybody and their mama has tint down here.
It's like a necessity, right? Like out there. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, hell yeah. And it's funny because some of the time when we do tint, people aren't even doing it about the heat rejection. People just want dark windows. So I think it's funny that people still see it as, I just want my windows darker. Where for me, as in the business, I try to see it more as a heat rejection. It's like, hey, it's a filter for, it's going to keep your dash looking a lot better. I see it more of a protectant than I really see it as a privacy. To me, I feel like it's more for the benefit of the heat rejection you're going to get, especially in a hot state.
Can you tell
Yeah,
me
dude.
a little bit about why someone should consider getting into the industry?
Absolutely. So, like I said, you always hear about, people stress over work, people stress over college, the whole nostalgia that if you don't go to college, you'll never be somebody. Like I went to a trade school after high school. I went into military, came out of the military, went to a trade school. I hated school, but I had to do something. I was like, okay, well, I need to get an education. So I went to trade school. I did software and IT work for a couple of years. I hated it. So, I paid college for, 2-year college for nothing.
Mm.
Got out of that. And then like I fell in love with tint, considering what a tinter can make and what you charge once you get good enough to be charging $200-300 a car. I think it's a really good career, and I think it makes you the money you need to get ahead in life. I don't think you necessarily have to believe you have to go to college to be successful. I know very successful mechanics, plumbers, electricians that are making six figures, and I think tinting is one of those trades that's up there that people can get into with very minimal training, very minimal education.
Window tinting has opened up so many doors for me in my business, and
Put it this way, I'm about the point where I'm be willing to train, or teach anybody that wants to come over and watch me tint. I'm willing to show you, just to open your eyes to, show you that you don't necessarily have to get in debt to get, get into a career. Like, you learn how to tint, you learn how to do this well enough, and you have yourself a career that will have you set, for the rest of your life. And you can be
so
proud of a career. It's not a career, you're not out there doing anything illegal. You're not out there selling drugs. You can be proud of the job you have and call it a career.
right.
People ask, what do you do? I'm a tinter. Like I embrace it. I love what I do. I see this as an art form. Every car that I do, when I look at the car and it comes out the way you want it, it's a pat on the back.
One piece of advice you have for someone that's thinking about starting or just started, what would you say to them?
So just do it. What's the worst that can happen? Like that's
Yeah.
I'll keep it simple. It's like I've failed so much, and Michael Jordan was one of the best quotes. You had to fail 1,000 times before you got one right. It's like if you're really passionate about this and you really want to try something different and you want to, if there's a cycle you want to break out of and you feel like this might be it, I say why not? Like it pays well. It's a respectable trade depending on how you look at it. It's not saying it's necessarily it's low liability because you are working with expensive vehicles. But I mean, you're not out there climbing, electrical poles. You're not out there doing welding under the ocean. It's a trade that's fairly safe, and it's like I said, you can turn this into a career, a six-figure career, and you won't know unless you try it. So why not? What's the worst that can happen?
Just
I
go for
tried
it.
it. I wasn't good at it. I gave up. Cool. You know what I mean? Maybe it wasn't for you. Move on to the next thing. But it's not something that's gonna make or that's gonna break you. It'll make you, but it won't break you.
I really appreciate you joining me today again, and we got to definitely do this again. Maybe next time we could talk about some other topics and whatnot.
Yeah, yeah, dude, absolutely. And
Yeah.
it's I appreciate you having putting up the opportunity for us to speak about it and let people know that are considering this, and get the voice heard of window tinting. It's an art. I think it should be bigger than what it is. I think there's competition is good because competition grows things. So I have obviously local competition in my town, and I embrace it. I want people to know more about it because it makes me want to become a better tinter because I have another shop down the street. I have someone in my town, and we're competing for the same customers. It only motivates me to work harder, and that growth is what I think you know, keeps us growing and keeps us going. Like I embrace, the how to explain the challenge.
Right.
So yeah, the more tinters there are, the harder I want to work because I know there's more competition. I'm not the only one doing this,
Yeah.
and as you get, as more and more people do it, the only thing you're gonna do is like, okay, well, I need to get better too. I have, there's it just grows. Like all this, life is all about growing, becoming somebody. And I think window tinting has done that for me. And I feel like this will help a lot of people, not just there are people that are doing it now. I think people can find saving in this, whether it's spiritually or financially. I think this is something that more people should know about.
Awesome, man. Well, again, I appreciate it a lot. Thank you guys for viewing. Make sure you guys like and share the video. Make sure you guys subscribe for more content just like this.